Whoa. Tired of living broke, so before I sleep, I pray.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Crab Legs and Kool-Aid. It's your boy Titus early making, and you know this is the podcast where we get to know the humans behind the art. Now, this guest that we got today, y'all, I wouldn't call her an artist.
I'm offended right off the bat.
Right
do
off
you
the bat.
always treat your guests like this?
Yes.
Just joking.
I actually do. I would call her a creative. I would call her a business mogul, to be. She's not only my best friend's wife, but she's also the producer of this show. So thanks to her, we got this show. Shout out. What up, Courtney Acuna?
Hi. For a second, I thought you were calling me your best friend. I was like, wow,
Aw.
we really graduated.
What if I just broke that news on podcast?
That would
How
be
would you
huge,
receive it?
Huge news for me.
It would be kind of awkward because you're not my best
Yeah.
friend. Okay, also, side note, she says her name. Say your last name the way you say it,
The way I say it is Acuna.
which is horrible.
It is Acuna.
Yes,
My husband
yes.
introduces himself as Gray Acuna. However, when I changed my name on my driver's license,
Yeah.
I gave myself the Enya
Okay,
because I like the way it looks.
it is cool. We will say that's cool.
Gray doesn't say it. However, our 6-year-old
Got some sense.
will correct us both and say, our last name is Acuna.
So-
Mila Acuna.
Okay, so Courtney has this perception of herself that because she is a little white girl, that she can't walk into a place and say it with an accent.
I can't.
It's your name.
I can't.
Try it.
No.
Let me just hear what I've never heard you say it. Just commit.
Hi, my name. Hi, my name is Courtney Acuna.
What? So much better. Now say it the other way real quick.
I just say Courtney, mostly.
Fair enough. I guess.
Be like, what's your last name? And I'll say Acuna.
Hakuna Matata. I think
Hakuna
that's why it goes there.
Matata.
That's actually an easy way to remember it. Anyway, all right. We like to start every episode with a quote of the day.
I'm going to interrupt
Oh, by all means.
because
Oh, she coming in hot. Go ahead.
as your producer,
Yep. Oh, what am I
which
doing
wasn't
wrong?
clarified, by the way,
Yeah.
you give flowers to everyone all the time. And
I
I
just called her a business mogul
know.
to be.
no, I know it.
Okay.
But because it's your show,
Yep. Oh, I see what's happening.
you deserve
Oh.
to get some flowers today.
We'll make it good.
You are so kind, first of all.
Thank you. A lot of people
I've
don't
known
agree with
you for what, 5 years now
Mhm.
as Gray's best friend.
that. Yep.
But now I'm getting to see you outside of that in this
True.
setting with all these people, like multiple people a day, week after week,
Mhm.
coming in, and you make sure that they feel like they are the most important person in your life.
Oh.
And the amount of FaceTime calls that you take throughout the day
Okay.
is
There's like a little bit of shade in here, but that's
no.
fine.
It's like helped me. Like I have been hitting decline less since I have been working with you on the show because of how much time you will stop what you were doing. You care about people a
Okay.
lot.
Well, pause. Let's not. Okay, that's very sweet. There's more truth behind that. So the reality is, I'm answering the same 3 people.
No, that's false. That's a lie. I've seen you talk to more than 3 people
Really?
on FaceTime casually, not for 5 minutes, but like for 20, 30 minutes. And be like, oh yeah, this so-and-so. Oh yeah, da, 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 da. And it's like, wow, you really care about people.
I like people, but it genuinely is the same circle of people. So the thing for me, the reason I do FaceTime so
You're
much,
concerned that you sound like shallow and like
100%.
wide, but you don't. Like
Right.
I think you have a lot of solid. Like if you went to jail tomorrow, you have at least 10 to 15 people you could call. Is that true or false?
yes, but they ain't got no money, so it wouldn't help to call them. I would be, but no, honestly, yes.
But they'd find it for you.
Yeah, that's true. But I genuinely say that it is like a small network because I have done the grand network before. Shot me in my back, not a vibe. I spread myself thin, actually. This actually is a small network. You might be seeing it different, but it really is like within a handful, like it's really about 5 to 6 people. But the reason I do FaceTime so often is because I don't really hang out with people in California. So literally all of my close friends, minus your husband, minus Ian, another mutual friend that we all have, outside of those 2, everybody else is either Arizona, Texas, New York, or Michigan. So FaceTime is like our way of like vibing.
Yeah.
Like that is us hanging out. So I do FaceTime a lot. Quote of the day. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that.
I tried.
It wasn't necessary.
kinda ruined it,
and it
but
was
I
kind of
tried.
inaccurate. And really,
It's
what
not
I took away from
inaccurate.
that, because I guess I don't take compliments well, is that I'm manipulative and I'm shallow. because
Wow.
I make everybody feel special. Like they're the most important part. Wow.
Can we get
Manipulative.
your therapist coach friend back on and let's unpack
I know.
that,
What was he?
please?
What was his?
Daniel.
No. What was his position again? Like a
Identity
coach. Very educating.
Very good.
Anyway, all right. Ready? Tell me
Mhm.
how this affects you, if it does at all, and if not, I have a second one. First one is never let fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. What does that mean to you? I mean, it's very face value, obviously, but how's that showing up in your life, Court? Can I call you Court?
Yeah, I've started way too many businesses. That's how it's shown up in my life.
But has that made you at any point scared to try again? Because that can scare, like, I already tried that, like, it doesn't really work.
Fear of failure is real for
Yep.
me. I just have the how hard can it be syndrome.
Which is good, though, because that's like...
It is.
Yeah.
Until you're 32. Well, I'm 31. I'll be 32 this year.
Okay.
And you like don't really know what your life purpose is.
Okay, hold on. The rabbit trails that I always talk about is about to happen right now. You're about to witness it firsthand. Why do you think it is that so many women are, I'm asking you to be the voice of women, big undertaking here, are ashamed to admit their age? Because you did that confidently, and that's rare. That I was shocked when you did that. Like, I'm so used to women not being comfortable with doing that when you did it, I was like, oh.
Honestly, I don't understand that either. It's like,
I think I have a,
yeah, what's your theory?
well, mine is based off the industry I'm in.
Hmm.
So with that being said, obviously we know actor, singer, great. Looking old, sounding old, thus puts people's brains to view you older, which means you're out of your prime, which means you're not as valuable as the new shiny, sparkly thing coming in. So a lot of women in my industry will avoid saying their age, even if they look like, I would never say you're 31 or you say 31. I would never guess that. Like I would probably guess, you want me to give you accurate guessing on live camera? I'm not even, I don't try to be nice. I don't think that's cute. You know, people be like, 22. You're like, oh, thanks. I'm like, bitch. No.
Yeah, how old do you think I am?
I would honestly say 26.
Okay.
I would say 26. Yeah. But that's because of your energy, not because of your face.
Did you say my energy?
Like old woman energy. Mature cat.
I took that as
lady.
I have youthful energy, 26-year-old energy.
Oh, no. I'm saying I would have said younger if your energy was younger.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
Wishful thinking, huh?
Well, with that said, like I feel like in my industry, a lot of women, sadly, but it's something that we've created. Like it's quite literally projected upon them to like feel younger because they literally watch younger women come in and take all the jobs, right? But I don't know. I just outside of my industry, I don't understand why that's such a thing.
I think for me, to turn it deep, when I was younger, I looked way older. So when I was 12, I looked 16. When I was 16, I looked 20. And it got me a lot of progress in my life.
Which is interesting.
Through men, through through business. Honestly, I was entrusted with a lot of things.
You want to clarify through men?
What? Like I just like older guys were always into me, and I found that as like a cool thing.
Right.
Like I dated a senior when I was a freshman. Like I just like felt cool about that because I did look way older.
Yeah.
I was like getting into places and you know all of that. So I felt status because I looked older. So then when it started switching to now I look younger, well now I am dealing with like bags and sunspots and all of those things. So now it does feel like a compliment.
Okay, so in any other work field,
you want to be younger. Right?
Yeah, okay, so why? Yeah, I'm like, why? What is that? Just how we've set up?
I'm a firm believer in like survival of the fittest. So I do think that there is something about like if you perceive me as young, it's because I'm more capable. I like have more to give. Like I'll be around longer.
You know, shouldn't it be?
I'm probably way overthinking it, but
no. But I like that because it led me to this thought. I'm like, shouldn't it technically be the opposite? For example, back in the day, now we praise. Well, actually, okay. A lot of thoughts. First, I was going to say now we praise skinny and trim, but technically that's changed and now it's a little bit more curvy, fake butts, great. But back in the day, the more plump you were showed that you had wealth and you were worth the time. It's like, oh, she eats a lot. She's wealthy. That's my woman, right? So I'm like, shouldn't it make more sense that we would praise older women because there's wisdom, there's establishment.
Well, that's how I feel now.
You know what I mean?
think that is why I'm not afraid to say I'm 31 because I have a little bit of resentment towards like the alpha like the Gen Z and like below. I'm just like, y'all got to get your shit together. So I do take a little bit of pride of like, I'm in my third decade and like you think you know everything and you don't. just like I thought I knew everything and I
Right.
didn't.
Right.
So I'm just more settled in the fact that like I can be happily in my 30s. Your 20s, you like don't know who you are. I wish I would have spent more time having fun in my 20s.
Okay.
I got a little too serious too fast.
Okay. So you set me up there. Here's that. You just threw the ball. So I'm going to hit it. So before we even get there, give me young Courtney, because I could have taken the easy layup there, but I want to go back and go in order here. So young Courtney grew up where and in what environment?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like taking it all the way back.
Mhm.
I was born into
Yep.
a very Pentecostal, evangelical family. Everybody prayed in tongues. I
It's a
thought
lot.
everybody was like casting out demons.
Ooh, okay.
I thought everyone just lived in that world. And it wasn't
Okay.
until I was like 10 or 11 that I found out like my friends think we're freaks.
Right.
So
And-
taking it all the way back to that,
Yeah.
I kind of always grew up just living very differently.
Okay.
And my parents did a really good job. I was the only child till I was 7. And they just did a really good job of like letting me make mistakes. They didn't
That's good.
overprotect me.
Okay.
My dad basically sat me down when I was like 12 and he was like, there's nothing you can do that I haven't tried or done. So do whatever you want, but just be honest with me. Don't lie to me.
Blessing, because that's freeing. And I feel like that's who I'm going to be as a dad. I say that now, but maybe it'll change. But I feel like the honesty is going to help, because a part of me, I had great parents, but a part of me wishes that I would have felt a little bit more identified with, because when you're making stupid decisions when you're younger, you feel like, oh, my parents are going to, and you don't realize that they've probably done everything you've done. Do you know what I mean?
My dad, I think, did overcorrect a little bit. I had a lot of freedom because he had none. And I love my grandfather, and he has corrected in a lot of ways now of like trying to be there more family, but he put his career before family
Okay.
for a long time. And so
Yeah.
my dad was like raised by other people and just like, I think, and his house was so strict
Yeah.
that he overcorrected maybe a little. Cause
What do you mean by overcorrected? Overcorrected what? Like, was too disciplinary?
It was he was in such a tight ship that
Ah.
he wanted me to feel like free. He didn't want me to feel like that. So there's some lessons I wish I hadn't have learned at such a young age that, I mean, as much honor I can give my parents
Yeah.
is a result of them just not telling me the truth. I had rules, but I kind of got away with anything.
Okay. So it was a twofold thing. So it was nice to have the open.
There's two types of kids in the world.
Okay.
There's shoot, I'm in trouble. Don't tell my dad.
Okay.
And shoot, I'm in trouble. I need to call my dad.
Which one were you?
That I need to call my
And
dad.
I feel like with that openness that he presented to you, it permits that. And I wish I would have had that a little bit more. I have that now with my parents, but I ripped that Band-Aid off. And now I be offering them information that they're like, you ain't got to tell us everything. But growing up, we were very closed mouth. Like, we were all very supportive, but like in like the way of like, well, don't tell them all the details. Like, I don't know if they can handle that. Like, I did what last night? Like, I ain't gonna tell them that till I'm about 20. You know what I mean? But I wish I would have had that feeling when I was younger to be like, oh, so-and-so did this. Or like, oh, I just left this girl's house. I shouldn't have done that. Like, I'm gonna call my dad and see what he thinks. I wish that would have been like
I wasn't
that open.
always honest.
Well, sure. Right,
There
right.
was just
You're
some
kids,
things
so-
left unsaid. But when I needed my parents, or like if I did get in trouble, we were having like adult conversations about it from the age
And
of
let's
like
just call
12,
a spade a spade.
13.
Were you talking about sex openly? Not that you were having sex, but was that a conversation had?
It came up at some point.
Mhm.
My parents like thought I was having sex.
Yeah.
When I actually wasn't. But it opened the door
I thought
to
you were
like,
a little sleut.
well, have you? You know, it opened the
Yeah.
door to like, I was like, I swear, like, I like handed my mom my phone.
Yeah.
And she saw a text come through that said, thanks for helping me clean up last night. What a like wild party thing, whatever. And it was like, I went to a small school, small town. The girls' basketball team went and stayed at the guys' basketball team's house. Nothing was going on. No drinking. It was 100% innocent. You can believe me or not. You can believe me or not.
Nothing happened?
Nothing happened.
Was it a Christian
This would-
school?
yes.
They be the most ratchet. Don't do
No,
that.
I know. Ratchetness was happening,
Yeah.
but not with this group.
Okay.
Like my little group was solid.
Mhm.
Everyone was just scared of getting in trouble, I think. I don't know. We weren't drinking this specific night.
I'm
Nothing was
impressed.
happening. It was a very like, we just all crashed there and everyone just went home the next day. And my parents just didn't ask, so I just didn't say anything. This was happening every Friday. So my mom hands my phone, sees this text come through and was like, did you stay at a boy's house last night? And I was like,
Oh.
just busting my whole team. I was like, Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
And she was like, "Are you having sex?"
Yeah, she thought you
And
was
I
throwing
was-
it down.
Yeah.
That's tricky. Because
And I was like,
I would have thought that too.
"No."
No shade.
And she was like, "Well, have you?" And I was like, I just started crying. She made me go tell my dad, so I told my dad.
That's low-key embarrassing. Like,
It
as a
was really
yeah.
embarrassing.
But at the same time, I guess good for them for ripping the Band-Aid off because I had to rip it off a whole different way. Like post New York, because
For the record,
Yes,
I
record.
don't talk to men about my sex life. This is my husband's best friend.
yes, we said that at the beginning. We say it again. And this is a public space. We're not just sitting in her crib talking about her. This is for the knowledge and growth and encouragement of all. Okay, but like for me, after college, like, see, my family already know this. Your boy was in them streets. Not proud of that. We had a different Christian journey. But after college, I ran into some walls and was involved with people that I shouldn't be involved with. And I was in New York at school in Manhattan and stepped
What
into
school did you go to?
the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. I stepped into like a little cutaway, boop, of like, if you're in Manhattan walking, like the buildings have a little cutaway where you can go inside, you know, shield you from the wind or the rain. Great. I stepped in a little cutaway and called my parents bawling. And I just let them have everything. I'd gotten to my wits end, yo, because I was like, Christianity's cool, but like, I'm gonna go do me. Stupid idea. There was nothing out there for me. I found out very hard. Anyway, but I ripped it off. So now we're open space, but that's because I had to get some hard truths in there. Coming back to Courtney. So, okay, you grew up in this household that was beautiful, very Pentecostal, very open. I mean,
Which,
in a beautiful
by the
way.
way, that was my house. My cousins, like
Yeah.
my dad's siblings, like they had very different upbringings than I.
Fair enough.
And I think my parents were kind of watching because I'm quite younger than my cousins. So I
Uh-huh.
think they were watching the result of the opposite way taking place and
Copy.
didn't want that.
That, okay.
My siblings and I are 7 and 9 years apart, and they were also raised differently. So it's just like
How many siblings?
2.
What's the order?
It's me,
Okay.
then 7 years, then 9 years, 2 years.
All from you.
Overcomplicating
Right.
this.
So you have, there's
My
you,
mom had me.
7 years later, another
Then my
one.
mom had
2
5
years later, another one.
miscarriages.
Oh.
And then she had my brother. And then she
5?
had my sister. Yeah.
Talk
That's
about
why there's
resilience
such a gap.
and trust and trust in God, because that I
Yeah.
would have given up. That kind of goes back to like,
Yeah.
that's wild. 5, and she kept trying.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord
then
for that, for her
yeah.
succeeding. And then what?
My dad actually
Mhm.
got fixed after my brother. And then my sister came along a year later. So she went from like not being able to have a baby, having my brother. My dad got snipped.
And then it's still.
And then my sister came
So he was
a
one of
year
those cases
later.
that we hear about.
The 1%. Yeah. My sister's the 1%. And she like resented that for, she's like, y'all didn't even want me.
No, literally, no.
And she's a miracle from the
Quite
Lord.
literally.
Yeah.
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 It's like, no, we wasn't trying. You know what? Okay, this is random too, but I honestly feel like my parents, I've asked them this before. I'm like, was I an accident? Because the way they bank accounts was set up, right? They had my sister. They were in the military, both my mom and my dad. They had my sister. Then 8 years later, still not in the strongest financial position. Here I come. And I'm like, who just waits 8 years? Like, that has to be like a slip up. But they say, no. I think they're saying that to be nice.
Yeah.
8 years?
They're definitely saying that.
That's
to
what I'm
me.
saying. You waited 8 years? Now, granted, okay, hold on, because this is where you come into play because you're a younger mom. So this is what we're getting to. So, and when I say young, I mean, it's still appropriate age, not like teen mom, which
Yeah,
is
let's
fine
offend
too.
some people. Keep going.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I was like, before I get to what I'm going to say, so let's keep going with you. So you said, at what point were you considering, I'm going to settle down and get married? Is this something that like happened? It was in the environment you were in? Because I have a theory.
It's for sure a Southern thing.
Yeah, I have
That
a theory.
like you go to high school, you go to college, you get married. It's just like majority of my friends married someone they met in high school or college. My hometown friends, truly,
Yeah.
majority of them married someone from college.
Did you anticipate that would be your trajectory?
No,
No, but it was.
but it was.
So then you met Gray.
So I was so convinced
Yeah.
that I was going to go off to some like big financial school
Yeah.
and study like finance or business. My dad's a business guy,
Yeah.
entrepreneur, CEO, whatever. And I was like, I just want to be just like him. I'm going to follow in these footsteps. And then I went to Africa
Cool.
for a mission trip.
Yeah.
And this was in my height of like, I want nothing to do with my faith family over here. I'm going to go my own way.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of like, I call it my Jonah and the whale moment,
Copy.
where this pastor in Africa was like, I recognize you. I know you by your family. Like, and it was just kind of me being like, I can be in the
You're like,
middle
I
of
can't go
Uganda.
anywhere,
and,
right?
this is just who I am. And so it was a little bit like, you know what? I'm just going to go home, do a little soul searching. Am I really called to that? What
Yeah.
am I called to?
Right.
Because I grew up an athlete and athletes weren't creative.
Pause. What sport?
Basketball.
You better go ahead and hoop. Now, you don't look like the average basketball player.
Yeah.
That's not because of color. That's because of height and stuff, too. So I'm like, what position do you play?
You can guess.
No, I can't.
I'm 5'2". I was a point guard.
Oh, okay. I would say point, but I didn't want to give you that much props because you might not have been that great. And then also...
Just won 2 state championships. But
Wait, can you ball to this
yeah,
day?
I can ball.
Wait, the fact that this human, Courtney Acuna, is sitting here with a little podcast thing, but she low-key can hoop is wild. That's
like,
actually a wild...
I can feel myself blushing.
It's just like a wild, like...
Because I actually am good.
Amalgamation of a person.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just thought you couldn't be one. I like thought you couldn't be both. Like in art, my art teacher would be like, "You have an eye," and I'd be like, "Nah." What really changed me is my senior year of high school. I switched schools, and they offered web design as an art class.
Okay.
And I got into web design, and that like branched my marketing trajectory that I have stayed on since my senior year of high school.
Now, real quick,
my Jonah and the whale moment. I can bring it back. So through my senior year, I kind of realized I do have a creative eye. I went to Africa. I'm playing basketball with these kids. And when I say kids, it's like they're freak athletes. I mean, they're insane, barefoot, like jumping like up into the air, just insane. And I said to the pastor, I was like, the guy that owned the orphanage there, I was like, we're not really helping anyone, are we? Like, we're just taking jobs from the locals and like we're really not doing anything for these people. And he was like, yeah. And I said, what if we did a sports camp? And like, what if we came back and we like brought real coaches in? Like, do they have a shot at like how do scholarships work here? Like we're in Africa. We're in Uganda specifically. And he was like, yeah, just come back, bring us fishing poles, not fish. And that just stuck with me so hard. And so I ended up going to the University of Arkansas. Yeah. I dropped out after 1 year to go back to Africa. And I went back for 7 years doing the most legit sports camps in Uganda for 7 years. But fundraising for those trips, because we all fundraised for all of it. It was the same year Instagram came out. Okay. And so I learned how to raise money through Instagram.
Dang. So, wait, is this organization still around? The sports thing? No, okay.
When I got pregnant with Mila, I just like, I don't really like kids. So it really was like, I knew it was an assignment from God and I knew I wouldn't do it forever.
What was the fishing pole statement? That's strong.
You've never heard that statement before? He said, don't bring us fish. The true saying is give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So that's where it came from.
But the way you said it was a little bit more to the point. And
he said next time bring us fishing poles, not fish.
That's gangster.
It was. Yeah. And so we did that. We would teach.
It's like, don't boo-hoo. Bring something that's actually going to elevate and grow the...
We brought legit equipment, cleats, basketball shoes, everything. And it evolved from sports to like, we taught entrepreneurship class. We did like Shark Tank with these kids. We did worship and music. We did inner beauty. Like, so it really was like summer camp, legit summer camp for these kids in Africa.
That's dope.
And these shirts just said, this shirt sent a kid to camp. And we would sell them for like $70.
Kid to camp.
We would sell these $5 shirts for $60.
That said what?
This shirt sent a kid to camp.
Because
it only cost $60 for a kid to go, $60 US. So I did that for a long time. That's where I learned to fundraise. That's where I learned how to sell things online. And that trajectory of like taking the web design class and fundraising for that is like what put me in this marketing sector. And I just stayed there. And then 3 years ago, I pivoted to podcasting. And that's why you're here.
And that's why I'm here.
In my studio.
In her studio. And that's why I don't have to ask too many questions because she answers the right ones for herself. Like I could have been like, "Where'd you go to school?" As she's answering it, she's saying it, she's answering. Okay, so I feel like something, and this is just legit our candid conversations. I feel like something that you have to offer a lot is how you move as a young married woman in your field. Let me clarify. So many people are married. I'm not saying you're an anomaly here, but what I am saying is that there's something to be said about being an entrepreneur, having a child, being married to an actor, all by the age of 31. That's a lot. Most people struggle with one at a time, okay? especially even if it's just the kid. Okay, so what I want to start with in all of that is upon getting married. Let's start on the actor side, marrying an actor. Let's start there. There's a few points here in the married world. What do you, going into the marriage, what were either your fears, concerns, or excitements about marrying an actor? Because there's a lot to unpack about marrying an actor.
There is.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you such an honest answer.
Please.
I hope I've said this to Gray before. I
Well.
hope he knows this. If he doesn't ever listen to
Podcasting
my
anyway.
stuff anyway.
Okay. The shade. He doesn't listen when I talk, so he's not going to watch this episode. No, I was kidding.
No, Gray's the best. He's the best.
He is. He's awesome.
He just knows I smash it out of the park, so he doesn't need to listen.
Exactly. Anyway.
Just saving myself
Yep,
here.
I'm trying to save it before she shoots it.
So I knew Gray was an actor before I met him. I say that because when I was doing the camp thing,
Yeah.
my office was next to an editing suite. I saw Gray on a screen.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, he's not from here. I'm from this small town in Fort Worth, Texas. Like,
No, let's be honest. You was like, yo, who's the baddie?
yeah, basically.
Okay.
And so I asked the producer and she was like, oh, you don't want to meet him. He's really arrogant.
Oh,
He's really like
great.
not the sweetest. Whatever.
These are all not true things. Go ahead.
This is very true.
He is very sweet and not
Okay,
arrogant.
I will say that was a progression because when I met
fair.
him,
Okay,
he
I don't
wasn't
know
a
OG.
Christian.
I don't know OG him. That's true.
OG him.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from his family too.
Yeah.
Like Gray calls it BC, like before Courtney, but also it was like pretty alignment before Christ. Like it changed him when he found the Lord, which I had nothing to do with.
Right.
That was separate.
Right.
It really did change him.
Which is awesome, by the way, that in a relationship, you know it's not being done for you.
Right.
Like just to like make it work.
So to be honest, the context that was given to me made me say, like, sounds like my type, kind of. Because that was when I was
Bad
like,
Boys.
I was into Bad Boys. I was kind of like that PK, like.
Yep, that was us.
Just,
we
you know.
We all into the edgy version.
Yeah. So I just followed him on I saw his headshot on her desk. I followed him on Instagram.
Yeah. Where were you at that people had headshots on their desk?
At the producer for the project that he had worked on was my friend.
Okay, so we skipped up there. Where were you? What job was that?
That was when I was doing the camps.
Okay, during this time.
Yeah,
Continue.
so I'm 21.
21.
I'm 21.
Okay.
And I follow him on Instagram. He messages me like 3 months later. He's like, do we know each other? And I was like, nope. He was like, you want to go to dinner? I was like, sure.
Okay.
That's a very abbreviated.
Yeah, I
We've
love
been
that.
together ever since. There's a lot more details
Of course.
that don't need to be shared.
As married couples always have details. But okay.
So he wasn't saved when we met.
Yeah.
I had an Africa trip on the docket.
Okay.
I don't take couples. That was against my rules. I don't like to deal with couples unless they're married on my trips.
Okay.
My soccer coach bailed last second. Gray played semi-pro soccer in Mexico.
Right.
I had no choice. I had to take him. Like I didn't have a soccer coach that was last second capable of like pulling off a trip to. I couldn't find someone fast enough to lead the whole soccer.
Sounds convenient
division.
for your life.
It was, sure.
If I wanted to bring my girlfriend, she would have said no.
So he went. He's the only like it's faith based. Like at the end of the nights, we're doing like worship and like.
And at this time, he's not
ministry.
a believer.
Right.
Copy.
So he goes.
Okay.
Again, come from the demon casting out crew.
Oh,
He sees all of that. He sees like people praying in tongues. He sees
That's
like
a lot
demons
for
getting
your first experience.
cast out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the following week, Derek Luke, actually the actor, and his wife led him to the Lord.
Pause. I'm obsessed with Derek Luke. I saw him in a coffee shop in Burbank, and I was like, "Excuse me, sir. I never do this because I normally I'm like, oh, there's a person."
Oh, he could come on your show.
Derek Luke. Okay, multiple things. Obviously, Antoine Fisher, phenomenal. Like that, he's one of my favorite male actors. Okay, saw him in a coffee shop in Burbank. I was behind him in line, tapped him, and I was like, "Hey," and I didn't want to sound thirsty. I was like, "Hey, I'm also an actor." Oh, cringy. I was like, I'm filming right here at Warner Brothers. He was probably like, I don't care. I was like, but yeah, I just, you're amazing, man. And he was like, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He was like, God bless you. And I was like, and he loves God.
He loves the Lord a lot.
I didn't know
He's
that.
from my camp.
Until he said that. Dope. Side story. Didn't know that. Okay, cool. So Derek Luke and his wife.
Basically just asked Gray, they're like, oh, you're an actor. Do you like to pray in the spirit over a script when you get it? Like, are you like looking for that kind of insight from the writer and director?
Yeah.
And I was just like, Gray, please don't lie. Don't lie to these people.
Right.
Like,
Just be honest.
They be reading people's mail. You know, like they're prophetic like that.
Right.
He said no. And she was like, do you want to right now? Let me fill with the Holy Spirit. And he just like with tears in his eyes, Derek comes around, starts praying over him, starts prophesying all this stuff about his family, like talking about Gray's relationship with his dad, stuff Gray had never shared with me.
Right.
It was like clearly God.
Yeah.
And Gray got saved, filled the Holy Spirit right then and there, and he radically changed as a person. And the Lord did
Wow.
that for me because I was still wild, like
Yeah.
going a little crazy.
Yeah.
Gray didn't drink even before he was a Christian. So him being sober coming into my life was a really good thing. The Lord like gifted me that, I think,
Wow,
because
that's awesome.
even before he got saved, I was already like, it could have ended up really
Yeah,
badly
you
for
was
me.
turning up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You had a couple drinks.
That, and I was really depressed because I
okay.
thought I was going to be this big businesswoman, and I'm out here in Africa, like, yeah, doing the Lord's work. It's great, but it's not what I wanted, right? So Gray and I met during that moment, during that time of my life. He gets saved. 2 years later, we get married. 6 months later, I accidentally get pregnant with Mila.
Oh, it was an accident.
Yeah.
Are you gonna share that to her one day or no?
Yeah.
Do you tell your kid that?
Yeah.
You're an accident. But we're happy to have you now.
I'm just gonna tell her the Lord knew we needed you, and I didn't yet.
Oh, that's a better way
That's
of saying
true.
that. That's a way better way of saying that.
I thought my life was over.
When you got pregnant, you're like...
When I like took the test, I was bawling my eyes out hysterically. I thought my life was over. None of my dreams would come true. I spent the next 9 months like in a deep depression.
Dang.
And then she was born, and all that just went out the window, and she's the best thing that's ever happened
Oh,
to
she's
me.
amazing. We all love Mila. Hi, Mila. Okay, so you get married. You go to Africa. Wait, you weren't married in Africa. Excuse me. When you come back, obviously, you guys get married. Great. So he's an actor.
Mm-hmm. Since the day I met him, he's been an actor.
Yep. What did you have any immediate concerns? Did you know what you were potentially walking into? The reason I'm asking this is because I've met a lot of women and men who are in relationships, whether they're married or dating, in this industry that have a hard time with it.
Well, Derek and Sophia actually really helped us a lot. They
Perfect.
really helped us a lot because I called Sophia before Gray and I got married. We were engaged. We weren't married yet. And he was like, I got cast as this role. I got to like make out with 2 people in like basically one scene.
Yeah.
It was like, he's like with the mom, and then turns out the daughter and him are scheming to kill her. And then like he gets like, it's like within like 5 minutes, he's like kissing 2 people.
Right.
Like that same week was Derek's episode with Taraji P. Henson on Empire.
Okay.
Love scene. Taraji's only love scene the whole show.
Right, of course.
And I text Sophia the night it came out, and I was like, wow, we need a call tomorrow. How do you handle this?
Yeah.
Because it was a good scene. Like,
great scene, but
Derek
like, how do you
and
handle
Taraji,
it?
like,
They killed it.
Was just, yeah. So her and I, like, we went and got coffee, and she really took time. She was like, there's a grace for it or there isn't.
Right.
And you got to figure out, do you have a grace to be married to an actor or you don't? But also, is your husband like, does he hear from God? Because there are scenes that were way less intimate, she told me about, that they missed the Lord on, and it ended up biting them in the butt.
What does that mean for people who can't comprehend that? So like they miss the Lord on, like, so can you just...
I believe that God speaks to us and gave us through the Holy Spirit, like we can hear God's voice.
Right. Okay. So Gray listening to that would look like what? Like
it would
if a
look
scene
like
is a sex
any
scene,
role that Gray is offered, we would pray about.
Copy.
Just like Derek and Sophia, like they said, any role that they are offered or they're even auditioning for it, they pray about it.
Okay.
If it's a yes from the Lord, there'll be a grace there for whatever is like coming. Like they'll handle every single thing like step by step.
So even if this
if
role...
the Lord says no, there's no grace. Right? And
Right.
so there was one role that wasn't even that intimate of a scene, but the Lord said no, they did it anyway. And it ended up like coming back to like bite them in the butt.
I find that to be very true. As somebody who experiences taking roles that I probably should or shouldn't or whatever, like trying to have that discernment through prayer, that's true for me anyway, because there's times where there's been roles that are less controversial or intimate or inappropriate or morally complex than others that have presented more of an issue for me. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Well, I'm a firm believer that if you're in God's will and there's a grace and protection on that, you are safer than if you're out of God's will. So
100%.
like,
yeah.
if there's World War III going on and the Lord calls me there's actually more of a protection there than if I stay at my house because I'm scared.
That's
you
huge.
know?
That's actually huge.
So so we took that advice, and every single thing that Gray has been offered, we do pray about. I will say the young me, the 21-year-old, met Gray when I was 21. I was so competitive that it was more of like I can do anything. all these girls are into my man. Let me like make it to the finish line. And it was actually a very premature decision.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
If I could do it over again,
yeah,
I do believe Gray is the one that the Lord wants me with.
Yeah.
I would tell
moved as
Mila,
fast.
don't marry an actor.
Fair. Now, as an actor, that sucks, but I get it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very nuanced thing. Like, it's very like, you either have grace for it or you don't. Like, you really got to have grace for it. It's a lot.
And people are just cut from different cloths. Like, also, it takes two.
100%.
It's like, there's a lot of really good people in our lives that in therapy too, that have helped us. Like, trust is not you get married, you automatically trust.
Right.
It is like there are steps and there are deposits that are made so that when it comes time to withdraw, is there enough in the bank that you're good to like take that step?
Because you're going to need that bank.
But if you're making a bunch of withdrawals and you're not putting deposits in, of course your wife's going to be secure. Example. Is that funny? It's not funny. I'm not that funny.
It's going to be funny.
Like, for example, Chris Pratt said he would never do a sex scene.
Okay.
Then Jennifer Lawrence and Passengers and 40 Mil come knocking on the door, and he does his first on-camera sex scene.
Right.
I told Gray for 40 million, I can close my eyes for 30 seconds. Like,
I mean, simply, like, I ain't got to watch the movie.
I mean, I would. And I just close my eyes for 30 seconds.
The bank account looks just fine.
But it's like, we really actually do take Derek and Sophia's advice very seriously. We pray about every single thing that comes along.
Right.
And there's been times too where it actually does on paper, none of that's involved. And then we find out later, like, oh my gosh, thank God you didn't take that role or whatever, you know?
Yes, that's huge too. And I like all of this because while it feels like to us, we're speaking of things that we already know, there's such a big, I don't want to say, not even audience that experiences this, that is experiencing this, or is just curious about like, yo, so how does so-and-so handle seeing her husband have sex with 4 different women in this 50 Shades of Grey movie, whatever. And it's just like, I've always wondered that. I'm like, ain't y'all really, like, where's the spouse? Where's the girlfriend? A lot of times, just from my experience, when I've had like love scenes or kiss scenes, a lot of times the girlfriend, well, I say that because on The Rookie, we all know who my character was there. So, you know, that was contextual. But the girlfriend or typically the husband or boyfriend is right there on set. Like, a lot of times they're there.
The first scene Gray did, I was on set.
Yeah. And a lot of times people understand it. Like I said, it's very nuanced. If you have grace for it, you do. And you just understand that that's the job. I feel like it gets messier when when the spouse or the relationship person is removed. Like, don't just let the actor go do their thing. I'm like, no, go be there. Like, it makes it all that much more clear. Like,
I think things changed for Gray though when Mila was born, because now he has to live with like his daughter is going to watch him like be with another woman that's not mom. Like, I do think things for him have changed. I also I believe in prayer, and I have prayed roles away.
Yeah, amen. If
like,
you got to,
I have
absolutely.
Roles that he's like excited about. Even I feel bad, but I'm like, Lord, like, give it to him another way.
Because sometimes he won't
Make
realize
his
how
dreams
detrimental.
come true a different way.
He might not realize how detrimental that role could be. Because as actors, we just be excited for the opportunities.
Sure.
So I love that, because being married to an actor is hard.
Yeah, it is. But we work really hard. We work harder than how hard it is.
Right.
Well, we were babies when we got married.
Yep.
I was 23 when we got married.
Right.
We've been married for 8 years.
Okay.
So we're different people now. As someone from being 23 to 31, we're just different people.
Right.
And I'm so fed up with divorce culture right now.
Touche.
You made a commitment.
Tell them.
Again, your foundation in believing in God and the Bible and the covenant of marriage, I guess, would play a huge role into this.
Right.
There are for sure grounds for divorce, and I want to make that clear.
Okay.
I'm not saying there isn't.
We're not saying you getting beat up on, don't just stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And there's a lot of other things that would merit a divorce. I'm not an expert in that, but there are therapists who are, so maybe you should see one. Yeah. But a lot of people are giving up right now because of their true self, which I say it like that exactly because Daniel, he talked about that in the episode of people with the my truth struggle.
Yep.
And I've seen my truth and my side of things, or this is what I need for me, crumble marriages in society. And 100%. It's even publicly, we've seen marriages I don't know these people. I have no inside look, but I was shocked by the divorce of Megan Good and
Devon. Yeah.
Franklin.
Yep.
Shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no inside scoop into their lives.
Right.
Maybe it was merited.
Yep.
I can't like judge their situation.
Right.
I was really sad to see that.
Right.
I've been really sad to see a lot of marriages around me crumble, including my parents.
Yeah.
I feel like if they would have tried 10% harder than they did, they would probably be together.
100%.
And not at like their marriage, at themselves. What is it? Like if it's myself, okay, then look at yourself in the mirror and figure out like what's wrong with you.
Right.
And I've been in a lot of therapy, and the biggest thing I have learned in therapy and what has kept our marriage together is if you are unhappy, what can you control? It is nothing but yourself. Oof. Are you being the best wife? Are you being the best friend to your spouse? Are you being romantic? Are you doing the little things? Are you calling the therapist when you need help? Like, are you doing those things that you want to see from your partner? Because if you're not, you have no ground to stand on to say, I need out of this.
The more basic version of that even too is if you want, like a lot, I mean, I'm coming from the perspective of being a man, so have some grace here. But if she want me to be jacked, are we both working out? I'm like, this is a beautiful thing for you to walk to, you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, where's your abs? You're losing your abs, Titus. I'm like, you ain't been in the gym either, my girl. Like this, we both got to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same kind of sentiment.
And there's a lot of self-discovery that goes into that because I would say like 5 years ago, I didn't know it in the moment, but like I went back and saw some old photos and I was like, that's me.
Okay, I wasn't attacking you.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying I have my own example of that. It was just like, that's me. And I was the one that was so unhappy. Like, thank God he didn't leave me. Like during that time, my point in saying all of that is just like, whatever you focus on, it just is what it is.
Right.
And we have been in a lot of therapy. Guys, go to therapy like taking vitamins. Don't wait to get sick and be in a situation that you finally find a therapist. That's been a common
denominator in a lot of episodes. We've made it clear, looking directly down the lens, don't be ashamed to go to therapy. And this is me speaking to my community. It's not big in our communty. Go. And this is
you
just
speak to your community. I'm going to speak to married people. There are so many married people like, well, we don't have a lot of problems. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like, go to therapy, like taking vitamins. You take vitamins so you don't get sick. Go to therapy so you don't have a thing to fix later. And get the skills set that you need, the tools in your hand. Gray and I am so proud of us. We've had our ish. We have had our ish. I'm so proud of us. We don't fight anymore.
Good.
We have the tools in our hands, the communication tools that no matter what comes up, because for me, I have a temper problem. For him, he's passive. So he shuts down, and I'm like, let's
go up.
Go.
Right.
You know? And we have learned where that meets in the middle. And we have learned the boundaries that each other needs. And we have learned how to gift each other things that I don't think are necessary at all.
Are we talking about actual tangible gifts?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like when you do anything out of obligation. So like if you and I were a couple and I think you're checking some girl out. You obviously weren't.
Okay. Or what if I was?
Well, in this scenario,
I'm joking.
if it's like my insecurity or just an honest mistake that I thought you were, you could either be like, obviously I wasn't, I'm not talking about this. Or you could say, okay, what can I give you that makes you feel settled and secure? Because that would never be my intention.
Because my innate response, just like going through that situation in my head, I would have been like, what makes you think I was? Like, I feel like I would have given my girl the luxury of like, tell me what I did that made you see that or made you think you saw that so we can address that. But that's even stronger. Like, what can I do? What was it?
The difference is, what can I give you?
What can I give you?
Or a second ago, I said the word gift because it is a gift. When you do things out of obligation, you become a slave to that person or that thing. Right. So it's like, if you were to say, what made you think that? Okay, well, I'll never do that again. And now you're like bound to this obligation that like really is unnecessary and probably impossible to keep.
That's deep.
Versus like, what can I give you in this moment that would help you understand that was not my intention? How can I affirm you? Do I need to hold you? Do you need a minute? Do I need to walk away? Like, what gift can I give you in this moment so that you can move forward?
Now,
from
see,
here.
I dealt with the opposite issue. See, I was dating this girl one time, and I liked ratchet people. The tricky thing about ratchet folks is that sometimes they be a little too ratchet. So she would check the girl out first, and then make me like not really check her out like that, but like she'd be like, "Oh, she got a nice ass," and I'd be like, "Well, I'm not gonna look because you're setting me up." And I'm like, "I see what you're doing," but she's like, "No, look seriously," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, she does have a great butt," and then she'd be like. And I'm like, hold on, hold on. That's toxicity at its finest. Don't set me up. Anyway, that was a side tangent. So what do you do in that case?
Well,
I should have said.
You should have said, "Are you setting me up?"
Oh, that's true. But listen, let me practice the logic on a messy situation. Look at her ass. That's nice. Huh? No, seriously, look at that. What do you want me to gift you right now to make me not look at this ass? And then
you're not giving up how you feel in the moment too, because that's something that I've had to work through is like condoning a behavior is one thing compared to empathy. So like when Gray and I would get in a fight and I'd be like, well, you don't deserve my attention right now. Like you don't deserve.
You would vocalize that?
No, in my head, I'm like punishing. Like
gotcha.
if he did something like we're supposed to be somewhere at 5 and he plays golf till 7.
Y'all, backstory, golf is a very sensitive
Not anymore.
subject. Not anymore.
Not anymore. But it used to be.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because he didn't know how to communicate.
Fair enough.
But now he does.
Now he does. Got the tools.
Now he does. We went to therapy. A lot of it. Every week. 3 years. every week. So now he knows like, hey, I'm running behind. It's amazing, men. What I'm running behind text can do for your relationship. Noted. But what the result of that would be is like for the rest of the night, he might get the cold shoulder from me, or I would act fine. And then it'd be like, he'd want to like be romantic. And I'd be like, give him the cold shoulder. Then it was like, you don't deserve this. Versus like, that will get you in a messy situation.
Right.
Because who are you to decide what someone does or doesn't deserve? You get to decide what you put up with.
Right.
So by communicating to Gray, I'm leaving at 5 p.m. for this event, whether you're coming or not. I hope you can make it. But if you can't, that's on you to figure out. It's like not in a childish way, just like you're an adult and you're making that choice for you. I'm going to make this choice for me because this is what we already planned on. You can deal with whatever those repercussions are, and getting over myself of being the savior and trying to save him out of every situation, what people think of him. So it's just a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's heavy. But that's all so good because I'm like, those are tools that if you haven't gone to therapy, that hearing them even just now can start some good work.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we need to unpack those because these marriages are suffering these days.
And to the being married to an actor thing in that situation is the last thing I'll say, we can move on, is in those moments where those things arise, when there's a scene or there's a person that I don't feel comfortable around or whatever, if we would have had the tools 5 years ago, it would have avoided a lot of fights because it was a lot of like, no, I know that girl likes you. No, you don't. How would you know that? You've never met her. I'm like, I can tell by the stuff she's posting or your body language, like she's into you. She's like into you. No, she's not. Whatever. Sure enough, later we find out. Whatever.
Yeah.
My point in saying that is if I would have had the skills to say, hey, this probably sounds crazy. I don't want to make you feel any type of way.
Me as a man already received that so much better than the accusatory.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Ooh, this is good.
And I would like to think that you wouldn't.
Right.
But the way this girl is acting is making me feel uncomfortable. Is there anything...
That just made me want to volunteer blocking her just for you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, is there anything you could do to help me understand why I might feel this way?
Honestly, you don't worry about... Hey, babe, don't worry about it. I'm a blocker. That's what I would say. I would respond with that to that.
Yeah.
Easy. Because I'm like, oh, you ain't accusing that. You ain't trying to make it look like I ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so you having a daughter, how does that affect your trajectory, your work environment, your hustle?
The competitive nature in me has gotten me to where I am for sure. Okay, if I'm going to have a podcast studio, it's going to be the best one in LA. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do that, my competitive edge is great, but it also means I'm living a life driven by comparison, and that can get really dark. Having Mila, I've realized it doesn't matter. None of those things actually matter.
Right.
Like raising her matters, giving her a life where she can fully be in her creative or athletic or whatever gifting she discovers for herself. I want to be able to give it to her. Like, I don't want her to be like, Mom, I want to play this, or I want to be in dance, or I want to be in music, and me be like, sorry, babe, I can't afford it. Like, you're just going to have, like, so for me, it's just, I guess it sounds so cheesy, but my why has changed. It's like used to, I just wanted to be on top.
Right.
Didn't care in what industry, I'll make it to the top.
Right.
now it's different. Now it's like, you hear people talk about there's no one on their deathbed saying like, I wish I would have been featured in Forbes, or like, I wish I would have this. It's like, no, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. And as my dad, who both my parents were really busy when I was growing up, I have a very secure relationship with my parents, like a very good attachment style to them, if we want to like get into it. But my siblings had a very different life than me.
Okay.
And so I've seen it both ways. And I want Mila to be able to do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
I want her to have good work ethic and different things, but my why has changed. I say that because my siblings were a little bit more spoiled than I, like truly just spoiled. Yeah. My parents were wealthier by the time that they came along, and they lived a different life. And now I see the difference in our
outcomes.
Adulthood.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just having to figure it out later. I figured it out earlier. They're figuring out the hard things later, and they don't like it. Like they kind of wish they had a little bit more.
What would you advise that young entrepreneur? This could be to anybody who wants to receive it, but I kind of want you to specifically speak to that young woman. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, that's something I can, because there's different hardships, I feel like. There's different walls you're up against, like, oh, are people taking you as serious? Are people investing in you as much as they would a man? Like, there's a lot of layers here. What would you say to like the young entrepreneur woman, like something that you learned that they can maybe bypass by your advice and not have to go through?
I would just say, I mean, it kind of comes down to your core belief in God. Like, I believe God has a plan for me, and I believe my plan is my plan, and it doesn't matter. It's like Lauren was saying, it's like what's for me is for me.
Right.
What's for you is for you. Right. Get out of my lane, stay in your own. I'll do the same. Yeah. I struggled with like, oh, I can do that. Let me do that for you. And like, I'm trying to do something for someone I'm not even good at. I have struggled with that. The saying like a jack of all trades, like I am a jack of all. Well, it is. It's jack of all trades, master of none. But the rest of the saying is a jack of all trades is being a master of one. However, I regret the hats that I've worn. Some of them, like I have worn a lot of hats. If I would have picked one thing,
kissing frogs to find the.
Sure, started a lot of businesses. The amount of Instagram handles to my name. It's at least in the 40s, 50s.
Oh, you've been moving.
Yeah. I've had a spray tan business. I've had multiple marketing agencies. I've had.
But this reminds me of Shark Tank. This
is
inspiring.
Like basketball coach, like things. Like I've done a lot. If I would have picked one thing, like say photography, I know I would be a kick-ass photographer right now, and I'd be like the best in the game.
You would be a dope photographer. You would also be anything that has to do with branding or aesthetic is your lane.
Which, generally speaking, that's the lane I've been in for the last 10 years. Yeah. And it's paid off now. Like Fair enough. Paying off now that you come to me, you want to do a podcast, we can do it. You can sit down, record. I built a studio. Right. I know how to work the camera. We can edit the episode. We can market the episode. We can try to get it sponsored. Like there's ways it has paid off. Right. So I'm thankful for that.
So the young person, where do they start? If they aspire to do any business, I guess it depends on the business, but let's say hypothetically, just to put some.
If you made all the money in the world or $0, what would you want to do with your life? If you were stuck doing one job making $0, or you were stuck doing one job making millions, are they the same thing?
My answer is yes.
Exactly, because you know what you want to do.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
So for me, it's like if you could do it, anything you wanted and make all the money in the world, what job would you pick?
That's their first question they should be asking themselves.
That's the first question, and then work backwards from there. I work backwards on everything I do. You told me you wanted a show to come out before the end of the year? Yeah. Okay, so what do we need to do by then? We need to film 15 episodes by this date. We need to have, we need to clear the studio for these dates. Like, who's on your list? Okay, Mandy's going to reach out to them. Like, I work backwards. So, like, if I know what I want to be and what I want to do, I can work backwards. The problem is I've struggled with what I want to be and what I want to do. Right. But in anything I do, I can see a finished vision and I can work backwards.
I know
That's
a lot
my,
of,
best gifting.
I love that. Just speaking from my own family out in Georgia, places that don't have the audience or seemingly the connections to keep it all moving and flowing like this. I find myself in conversations, even back in Georgia with my own cousins, the discouraging statement they say back to me is like, oh, they aspire to do blah, blah, blah. They'll say it to me. And I'm like, great. So start doing something. They're like, well, but I live out here. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the issue? And the way that their brain is working is because I'm in the middle of nowhere. You live in LA, so you have more means and stuff. And I'm like, it looks like that. But the things you aspire to do can be started anywhere, simply with an Instagram, you reaching out to somebody. So what are practical little steps like that even that somebody could do if, let's say, they aspire to run a podcast studio? What's a first step?
my first piece of advice to anyone wanting to do anything that they don't currently do, put your phone down for 30 days.
Oh.
Like, delete the Instagram account, delete your TikTok account. The algorithm will be there. Like, if you really think you're that important that you can't post for 30 days, and
that's so true.
It's just no one cares. No one will miss you. No one will notice. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
That's number one. Number two, in that time, without your phone, time goes slower.
True.
You realize a little bit more what you appreciate in life. I really appreciate the time I get to spend with Mila. I really appreciate getting to go do things with Gray. So what life can I create myself that allows for those things to continue? Because without those things, I'm going to be really, really unhappy.
Yeah.
And then I would say the third thing would be like, what's the main goal? Even if it's broad. Because a lot of times, especially I think millennials, because we're like stuck in between our parents, they picked an industry, they stayed in it. It's so rare that our parents ever pivoted, right? Like that generation.
Literally,
And then on the other side of us, we have these Gen Zers that can just be whatever they want one day or the next, and it doesn't matter. As long as they post about it, they're good, you know?
Legit, right.
So we're like right in the middle of that sandwich of not really realizing or not really understanding like which side of that we fall on. And so it's like getting down to, how do I want to spend the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Because it's really not that long, truly. Like,
facts.
it goes by really fast. How do I want to spend the rest of my life? And what parameters do I need to put in place to make sure that happens? And then I would say, write out each week, what's one thing I'm going to do in the week? A day is hard. I know people say, if I can win the day, it's like, okay, well, you don't have kids. You're definitely not married.
Right,
Whoever said that.
That day is about gone just from getting the kids to school.
If you can just make one small micro goal that will help you get to your bigger goal, that's a lot more than most people are doing.
Right.
Like if
That's so
you know,
true.
it's a lot more. Most people will daydream, and they'll watch other people live the life they want, and they'll scroll and they'll scroll.
And that's the point I try to make towards, I'll just use, like again, use my own family, towards some of my cousins. I'm like, I get what you're saying, right? It does seem more tangible in LA. And a lot of stuff is when it comes to fulfilling those dreams. But the initiation of them, like, those can be started anywhere. And I'll just use acting because that's the one I'm familiar with. People ask me all the time, how do I get started in acting? What should I do? Yeah, but I live in Minnesota. And I'm like, cool. There's so many things. Even if that is watching a movie and noticing things that are similar to you, like a character that you could play, right? Or looking up classes. You can do online classes. You can audit online. There's so many things that allows you to kind of just like start building. If you can do one thing each week, this is where I'm coming from with that, one thing each week that brings you closer to that, then you're already ahead of the majority of the people who are just admiring other people doing it. So I love that. That was just me doubling down on that.
Well, the concept of supply and demand, it's like business 101 in any industry, acting, entrepreneurship, being a school teacher. It's like the concept of supply and demand will never die.
Right.
So is there something in your life that people are calling to ask you for advice on?
Right.
Like people will call me to ask me, usually it's like, hey, what camera should I get for this? Or like, what software should I use to edit this in? Or how are you, like, what snacks do you buy Mila? It's like the supply and demand for just what is my gift that people are coming to me for is one good place to start.
100%. I love that. I love that.
The other thing is, as an actor, I could imagine, just like in any other industry, don't try to be the same like copy and paste character because you see them like getting all these roles if you're not that person. It's like you were advising Gray the other day. You, myself, and his agent all said this recent audition was like one of his best ever, and it was for a really random character that he's like used to playing.
And he refuses to identify with that character.
But that character, there's a lot less of those people trying to be that person
1000%.
than the typical guy that he's like used to playing.
Yep.
And that's an example of supply and demand. It's like, why not try that out? Or like, why not? What's the thing, the edge that you have? But then you also have to, this is where I think a lot of people get stumped too, is you got to be confident in that edge.
True.
Like you got to figure out your edge and then you have to be confident in it. It
right.
took me a really long time to be able to say out loud, I know my gifting is, if you give me a vision, I can work backwards and I can make it happen. That's my selling point. If you want to, if it's a show, if it's a clothing line, whatever your vision is, if you tell it to me and you pay me enough, I'll make it happen for you. I will figure out a way.
Yeah.
I also know where my strengths don't lie. If I don't know that, I will find someone who does. Like
that's huge.
so But it took me a long time
Right.
to have the confidence, even though I knew deep down that that was my gift,
Right.
the confidence to say, well, like, Courtney, what's your thing?
Yeah.
My thing is I'm really good at like seeing around the corner.
Did you ever aspire to be in entertainment yourself? Because you come
I
from
would
entertainment, technically.
die. I would literally
no.
die.
Okay.
Like we
At
have a
least you know
game.
that.
We have a game night group.
Yeah.
They're all actors.
Oh, it probably drains
Except
the
for
crap
me
out
and
of
one
you.
other person who's an agent. So I feel like that doesn't even count.
That doesn't count, yeah.
And this one night we played this accent game. We like draw a card, you have to be an accent and say a thing. Oh my gosh, like the tears streaming from my face. But it's the competitive thing in me. If I can't be the best in the room, I'll melt.
Then you just let it.
Yeah,
sit
I
back. You're
just
like,
I
you
don't
do
want to
you.
play.
I don't want to play. I don't want to play.
If I can't win, I don't want to play.
That, well, that's kind of a good mentality for your entrepreneurial
It's good
side.
now.
It works for that. Okay, I want to pivot because I want to get to this because I'm just fascinated to know your answers. But thank you for taking us through all that before I pivot, because once again, a lot of those points, like we covered a lot in a really cool way, like from experiencing that married life, the struggles of that, to being a mom, to being an entrepreneur. Like I wanted to touch on all those because once again, they're so hard to do individually. To be sitting here doing them all and to not want to murder everyone. Wait, as we cut to Courtney's face being like, well, I do. Is wild. Like it's actually very challenging. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, so this is a complete hardcore flip to something completely different, but I just want to hear. This is, I had originally in this podcast, and I haven't done it with anybody else, but I want to do it with you because it's just funny. I had a segment that I was going to do called Did You Know? And maybe if I like this, I might start doing it. Maybe season 2, we'll do it more. I don't know. Did you know that the most popular sandwich in America is, do you have a guess?
Is it a tuna melt?
Okay, let's take an audience guess. Hey, Mandy, in your knowledge of American sandwiches, okay, what would be your opinion of the most popular sandwich?
I hate tuna melts, by the way.
Why'd you guess a tuna melt?
I don't know.
The most popular sandwich. Now, okay, before you answer, I'm gonna give you another chance because I probably should have said this first. Think about what can commonly be in a household. Is this your same answer as tuna melt? Okay, go ahead. Okay, so she's closer.
Yeah, she said
That's what I'm saying. I was trying to open you. So great guesses.
I would think now hearing that. Yes.
Do you have a different guess?
I just second Mandy's guess.
Okay, well, you're both wrong, but that was a good guess. She said PB&J for those that couldn't hear. So the actual answer, this is Googled. This is not my opinion. So Google's true. The actual most popular sandwich in America is a grilled cheese. Right? You got to think about things that are like easy to make no matter what social level, income level you're at. Like most people can afford some cheese and some white bread, right?
I wonder if that's still the same as today.
That was today's answer. Okay, so, and then what that led me to this though.
Okay.
So where we're going with this is actually the most pointless conversation you're going to have for the rest of your life. But because of this question, me and my friend were talking about this, and I was like, I'm going to ask Courtney. My answer was not a peanut butter jelly, was not tuna melt. My answer was a motherfucking burger, okay? And my friend's response to that was like, I asked what sandwich. I'm sorry, what classifies a sandwich? Please answer.
It would be 2 pieces of bread and some meat.
Not even meat, anything between 2 pieces of bread. So I said to him, how is a burger not the most popular sandwich in America? It's literally an American staple. Okay, like we created hamburgers.
To me, it's not the same.
I Googled it. A burger's not considered a sandwich.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a sandwich.
But how? Bread, stuff, bread.
I would think because it's cooked, which I get. Other things are
Pastrami is a sandwich.
That's in the more of a burger.
I'm not mad at you, by the way. It's just aggression towards sandwiches.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was just annoying to me.
I really don't care, to be honest.
Honestly, right. But then it also led me here. This is just another random fun talk. It led me to this. I said, okay, well, what's hot dogs, tacos, pizzas? What do they consider? They're just items. Okay, we're talking about stuff that's bread and meat and da-da-da-da. And he goes, I wrote it down.
Your friend?
This is my friend. He goes, oh, I don't really like pizza. Okay. His favorite food is a quesadilla. So I said, pause, a quesadilla and pizza are the same thing.
They're not the same.
How?
A quesadilla.
Bread, cheese, fried, put on something
A
melted.
quesadilla and a taco are the same. A quesadilla and an enchilada are
Bro.
actually the same. Same ingredients.
Bro,
Same ingredients,
No.
cooked differently.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Same ingredients, cooked differently.
Cooked differently, but how could you not like the taste? He doesn't like the taste of pizza. But a quesadilla is bread, cheese, and tomato salsa, whatever. Pizza, bread, cheese, and tomato paste, whatever. And I'm like, it's literally the same components. How could you not like it? That's all. I don't really need your input. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm right.
See, I can see this isn't a fight that I can win.
Yeah,
so
you
I'm just
can.
gonna back
Because
out.
I'm like, I don't understand what the point of that is.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, please.
You all the time
Oh, gosh.
be asking people how they handle situations when they're around people that think they can sing, but they can't. When you know darn
You're
well.
so messy. You're so messy. She messy. She messy. Go ahead.
When you know darn well, my husband and your best friend
Yes.
be thinking they're hitting runs and doing things that they ain't doing, and no one's calling them out.
This is a call out.
Well, I've said it, but you didn't believe me.
Let me just say this. We're not even going to speak to her. Because we know what she's doing. Gray, you can do anything you set your mind to. Now, we might not all excel, but you can, there's roles for everybody.
I've heard you say that you used to not be able to sing so good.
Right, I
Whatever,
didn't.
whatever.
Yep.
If Gray took a lot of singing lessons,
Yeah.
he could stay in key, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Hopefully.
You can learn to sing in key. Some people can't. Some people are just tone deaf and they really can't hear it. Gray. Gray, I don't think Gray has a bad voice. I think maybe singing's not his calling. Like, I don't think he should be pursuing it necessarily.
Okay, that's enough.
Anyway. Okay, so Courtney, before we go, I like to play a little game with my guests. But because it's you and you're not very fun, I'm not going to play a game. I'm going to ask you, this sounds so, Courtney's going to be like, why did I get that one? But I'm still intrigued. What's your favorite scripture? She's like, bruh, I don't get no fun game.
Yeah.
What's your favorite scripture? I'm intrigued.
There's a lot. Depends on the day.
Okay, today.
My life scripture is Psalm 91. It's a whole chapter, so I can't recite it.
Okay.
But I got together. Well, we didn't get the same tattoo. That's
Yeah.
what my little wing meant. Under his wings, under the
I
shadow
still
of the
actually
Almighty.
might get a wing because I like that. That's cool. Mine is Jeremiah 29:11, which we all know. But for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. That should be a quote, scripture starting point one episode because it's like, that's big.
Well, that's the part we didn't get into.
Yeah.
My camp is like the prosperity camp.
Oh, that is cool.
Very controversial. But to prosper, you just said it. So like, why
Ooh.
not?
Huh.
I'm not talking vending machine God. We're not like making donations for cancer healing. That's not what I'm talking about. Just that verse in its entirety. Like God does have a plan to prosper us and not to harm us. All good comes from God.
And with that said, Courtney, thank you for sending. Courtney, y'all, Courtney is being very, very, very warm. She probably didn't want to do this, but I appreciate her for doing it. No, I say this, I just roast her, y'all. We know each other, so don't
You
drag
say that.
me.
All my friends are like, finally, someone said it.
Sunday. No, I was kidding. But seriously, thank you for doing this because I know this is like not typically yours.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully you didn't have pressure, you know?
No,
Hopefully
I
you didn't
asked
feel
if she would
pressure.
do this. Anyway, you're amazing. Thank you, Court.
Love you.
Love you.